Hi, I'm Emily, and I am here with Maya Murphy's attorney, Eva Marie Franco Fox. Attorney Fox practices at Maya Murphy's office in Westport, Connecticut, and is admitted to practice law in both Connecticut and New York. My question today for Attorney Fox is, I signed a prenuptial agreement, but my partner and I never got married. Is the agreement still enforceable?
That's an interesting question, Emily. Under Connecticut law, the statute governing prenuptial agreements today dictates that unless the agreement specifies otherwise, it is not effective until the date of marriage, meaning the agreement is not enforceable and it is not a valid agreement unless the parties get married. Now, if your agreement actually specifies a different event that would trigger the effectiveness or the validity of the agreement, it's important to evaluate the agreement to determine, did that event take place, and is your agreement otherwise contingent upon marriage taking place in order to become effective. If it appears that there's language in the agreement that specifies that the agreement is going to be enforceable regardless of whether or not the parties get married, it's important to consult with an attorney about this. There may be certain claims that you have or certain rights or obligations that you have under the contract that you're not aware of because the parties didn't get married. Now, if there is any kind of uncertainty as to the effectiveness of the agreement, it's important to realize that if the parties both are on the same page that they don't want the agreement to become effective, they can mutually revoke the agreement or otherwise modify the agreement. If the parties are not on the same page, or if there's a disagreement as to whether or not the contract is actually legally binding or took effect, the parties can seek what's called a declaratory judgment. And in Connecticut, this is essentially a judicial determination that resolves uncertainty regarding a legal dispute between parties. So the parties can go to court and hopefully get a determination that would specify, is the agreement enforceable and effective? If it is effective, when did it become effective? And what are their rights and obligations under that agreement, particularly given that they didn't actually proceed with a marriage? This declaratory judgment would be legally binding on the parties. And so it can certainly help prevent any future litigation, hopefully, because the parties can get clarity on how to proceed moving forward, or perhaps be better informed as to whether or not they need to revoke the agreement or otherwise modify the agreement in a way that would be more appropriate, given that they haven't actually wed. It's also important for parties here to understand that they may have claims against one another. So, for example, if one party knew that they were never going to sign the agreement or they were never going to get married, but they allowed the other party to sign the agreement, they allowed the other party perhaps to take steps in reliance on their misrepresentations, for example, transfer property to them, give them certain access to assets, then there may be claims that you have against the other side for fraudulently leading you into signing this contract that is now effective, even though you've never married. So certainly, if you do have any questions about your agreement and it's unclear from the language of the agreement itself what your rights and obligations are or how you should be proceeding, it's important to consult with an attorney, call our office, and hopefully we can help resolve this issue for you in a way that can protect your interests moving forward.